everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting Cars. It's where I drive random places trying not to kill anyone and talk about random shit in a new format, it seems. So I thought I would have a go. Being that I'm terrified of being on camera, I thought I would have a go. How can you multitask? Let's have a look. Right, this is a podcast where I talk about various topics. I've changed the format a bit so now you can actually see me. I know I don't look like Johnny Depp in drag at all. What a shame. He's pretty fine in his young days. Now he looks like my mum. Brilliant. But yeah, it's you know, I talk about random shit. I don't stick to one topic, hence the reason there's a disclaimer at the start of this podcast. I do tend to talk about a lot of sensitive things, so if you don't want to hear about sensitive things, you know, don't listen. I'm not going to make you listen. I can't actually go to where you are and make you maybe I can, I don't know, make you listen to my shit. Man, soccer mums and minivans, they drive like crazy. That's another point. I do waffle a lot. So there's also copious amounts of swearing because I thoroughly enjoy it. And growing up, our punishment for swearing was getting your mouth washed up with soap. So I'm going to do it now because I enjoy it. The topic for today is, and I'm hoping I can do this without getting distracted because I've got someone else's face, which is my face, in my face while I'm driving. The topic for today is identity. Now this was a challenge for me growing up because if you've listened to any other podcasts, if you listen to the Chatting in Cars podcast where it's the driving through the trees, just a picture of driving through the trees, you'll know that I didn't have much of a chance to actually develop an identity growing up. You'll also know from the other podcast I tend to have a stutter, so that's not good either. Yeah, so I grew up in a household which was basically my parents, it was authoritarian, not authoritative. It was very much the parents tell you who you are, what you're doing, what you're going to be growing up, and you know, you didn't have much say in it because, you know, if you had any much say in it, you probably got whacked. So it was a great way to reinforce boundaries. Their boundaries, not yours. You will be compliant. But yeah. And then I kind of set me up for a fall. So I went into a marriage where I was pretty much a people-pleasing, compliant person to him at 27. I knew him for 10 years beforehand, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, no, I had no real sense of identity. My value was I had very low self-esteem when I was married, so it wasn't a healthy way to look at things. I was basically there to keep the peace and try and keep him happy. Because I had grown up in that horrible poverty cycle where my parents were basically berserkers. If you want to know what my parents are like, go and listen to my podcast about berserkers at the start of the last season. It was not pleasant. But, you know, it's all you want to do is keep the peace in that kind of circumstances, isn't it? You don't want to create any kind of agitation. So, you know, as a sacrifice, you tend to not want to stick up for yourself. And you want to just, you know, keep things running. You just, whatever they want, you give them. Whatever makes them happy, you give them. If they say they don't like long hair, you cut your hair. If they say they don't like makeup, you don't wear makeup. If they want you in these particular types of clothes, you wear those particular types of clothes. And it was just, my entire life when I was married was just to, you know, try and keep him attached and interested and trying to, you know, stay in the fucking marriage and the relationship at that point. Which is crazy in itself because, you know, I was never myself, and when he left me for something. Well, I'm assuming he left me for someone else because he wanted an open marriage, but at the same time it's like whatever he did to me to customize me into what he wanted with all this little nagging and nitpicking and I don't like that and you should do this and all that, you know, narcissistic shit, right, frankly, where he customized it. It didn't do anything in the end because he still fucking left. So you know, I didn't have much say in that kind of experience where I could develop my own kind of identity and things that I really liked. There were hints of it, of course. I mean, I took what he wanted me to do and I did my spin on it because I've always been that way. I'm just a bit stubborn that way. But at the same time, it was generally we did what he wanted to do. We lived, our first apartment was what he wanted. It was in the area he wanted. It was in the block he wanted, because we'd rented there before. When we went on holiday, we did things that I didn't like roller coasters and stuff. And he was like, I want to go to Sentosa and shit like that. And you sit there and think, I fucking hate roller coasters. I don't want to do this. They terrify me. And they terrify me not because I'm a chicken shit, but also because I have PTS. So, you know, I didn't realize that until I went to therapy. He's like, oh, by the way, what? Yeah, you got all kinds of fucked up shit. Again, if you want to know what happened to me, you've got the whole, in the last podcast, you've got the PTSD topic. Most of the things I talk about in my last podcast, the one where it's the green one, it's just me waffling on about shit I've got or I've gone through. There's, you know, I suppose there's bits of political, sociological stuff, psychological stuff, but I'm trying to make connections, and it's basically just you know, part of, you know, cognitive behavioral therapy. We're just trying to, it's like speak therapy. You're trying to talk therapy. You're trying to understand what happened by talking to yourself. So these are essentially my shower thoughts. I don't know how good they are. I'll probably get either convicted or, you know, sent to a funny farm for some of them. So, what's your thoughts on eugenics? Ooh. Ooh. We all have them, but we don't. We don't voice them. And I'm lucky I got the autism. I can get away with it. It's okay. I got a bit of autism. Oh, okay. But yeah. No, my sense of identity didn't really come into fruition until I was 33. And it was because I went through my sort of dark night of the soul. I was just dropped completely on my ass, and everything broke, and everything went completely downhill. I lost my businesses. I went into debt. I was homeless. What else? 2 grandparents died. I was going through a separation and divorce. You know, that was 2018. In 1 year, all this fucked up shit happened. And I'm sitting there, and I was left absolutely, you know, just holding my face for at least a year, I can imagine. I was also ended up going to a psych. I was diagnosed with PTS and OCD, funny enough, mild. Clearly they haven't seen me at play. I organised the gym the other day. That was pretty mental. I needed a break because I was overreacting from my PTS. I was having an attack, and the one best way I've found to, you know, dumb it down a bit, stop reacting, is to distract it. So while I was sitting there doing my overheads, and I started to get my tremor in my hand, and my breathing started fucking up, I knew the next thing was going to be my lungs will seize up properly, my muscles will then seize up, and then after that, and I've only done it 2 or 3 times now, I actually fuck up on the floor. So I'm like, I don't want to do that in public in a gym, so not in front of all these lovely people. So I'm not going to do that, so I'll stop. Know your limits. And you know, I'll go and organise something. And what it does is it distracts your brain, because at the moment it's so intensely focused on whatever movement you were doing at the time. I was doing overheads at the time, which is always, it happens a lot. Every time I do overheads, seems to be more stressful than, you know, like squats or deadlifts or something like that. So that's my trigger point. Maybe it's because I've got a weaker upper body or something. I don't know. It seems to hit the wrong note, and then I start to really get that tremor. So I just went up and I organised the squat racks. I colour coded them, I weight coded them, I got all the surplus weights and I put them on the side racks, and I'm like, I like this. And by the time I had done all that, because there was 2 squat racks and a side rack near the deadlift weights, and I'm like, by the time I'd done that, I was pretty stoked, because I'm like, first of all, my OCD feels better, and my autism feels better, because everything's organised. And my tremor had died down, so I could go and do my final set for my overheads, and I was pretty stoked about that. Bearing in mind, on the Friday night, I still had a panic attack, which was horrible, because I woke up at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. That's another ripple effect of having PTSD. It's horrible. All it is your body's just remembering. Your body's remembering. My memory doesn't remember. I've got no memory, like no real memory. I have snapshots and bad dreams and night terrors and things like that. You know, those cringe moments. I have internal screaming, and just like, like almost bordering on Tourette's reactions, verbal reactions when you have the cringe stuff going on. People wonder where it comes from. I don't know. But, you know, as far as remembering what I did yesterday or last week, I have trouble with it. I blacked out a shitload of my childhood just because it was not nice. And well into my 20s as well. I don't remember a large chunk of my marriage just because it was still fed on from the way my parents were raising us, essentially. My husband wasn't violent. He wasn't that kind of abusive. He was a covert narc. So everything was sort of verbal, comments, selfish, just stuff like that. So he wasn't as abusive as my parents. And the ex-boyfriend that came afterwards, oh my god, don't even. Anyway, I'm not going into it. If you listen to the other podcast, you know what kind of a guy he was. We're not doing that fucker again. Just no. So, you know, you deal with this. By then, I was lucky though, because that was post-marriage, and I was lucky because I recognized the kind of hallmarks that would lead to a certain particular type of experiences. And I'm like, no. I saw a lot of my dad in him, and my dad's a fucking berserker. So I'm like, no, I'm not doing this one again. I'm just going to wait for you to hit your midlife crisis and just walk slowly out the door and leave you to your friends. I'm like, I did that for the first 20 years of my life. I'm not doing it again. A very good reason to leave someone, I'm afraid. And that was one of many. So, but no, you get used to it. And, you know, you develop. I know that's part of me now, like recognizing it. I had a lot of quirks and things which came with the ASD, which I didn't realize until somebody went, yeah, that's actually autism. It's like, what? And it's like, why do you collect shitloads of leaves and trees and small rocks and shit? You're always collecting and organizing, you're labeling, you know. I was like, I thought that was just because I'm type A or whatever. It's like, no, you got autism. So that was part of my identity. It was nice to put a name to it and to understand what was normal about that, because for years my mum just said, oh, you're just quirky. I'm going, no, because I get pissed off about the weirdest things, like people who are late. I get really late, like I'm really angry about, and I get angry when people don't use their manners. But like beyond trying to recognize that it's, oh, they just having a bad day, maybe they're running late or something like that, I get like rage quit angry. I have a temper about people that don't follow the rules. I know that much, and it pisses other people off because they expect the free ride, and I'm like, no. So I don't want to be faithful. I don't want to be, but that's like a legit reason not to be happy about them. But you know, just unclean people, and you know, I know I can be a bit anal when it comes to certain things. My OCD kicks in, but at the same time, it's like either it was a combination of the way I was raised, or the pre-existing autistic traits that were sort of nurtured, I guess, in a violent way. With my parents' methods of parenting. But you know, that's all. It's useful, and even though I had a pretty rough growing up time, I learned a lot from it, and all the skills I use now. I mean, you might say it's a trauma response, but I use them as an adult, and it was pretty useful. At the moment, I'm working on a project where I need to save as much money as possible, which is almost finished, thank God. But I've been living in the same kind of poverty lifestyle as I did growing up, where you assume you don't have any money. I have money. Fuck's sake, I'm a teacher. But sitting on 100,000 a year or so. But you know, I wanted to put those practices in that my mum and dad used, because we grew up broke. We're on Centrelink a lot, which is the Australian welfare system. We did food banks, we did op shops, we did fucking every beg borrow stall, essentially. We did whatever we could to make ends meet. And at the moment I'm having a blast. The last 2 years or so, I've just been saving whatever I could, just going through the practices and trying to remember what we used to do, and you know, initiating some of my own, looking for little strategies and tricks and tips and hacks, and I'm having a blast, to be honest. So people are like, oh my god, it's horrible. I'm like, oh, actually I like the strategy behind it. I like the game. I like things that make my brain tick, and I love projects, so it's all fun and games to me. I mean, mean, bearing in mind, I'm already predisposed to be an introvert, so I don't go out. I don't like going out. I'm a homebody. I am, and that sounds boring, but I tell you what, I'm probably the most stable fucking girlfriend you'll ever meet. The next boyfriend, you better be a homebody too, right? 'Cause I ain't leaving. I got food, snacks, Netflix, and Amazon. You know, I'm staying home. I don't want to go out to pubs anymore. And that was the problem with my ex-boyfriend. He was all about the social butterfly shit, and I'm like, I don't drink. Well, I don't drink now. I did with him. That was because he liked drinking, and I'm like, I don't even like the fucking taste of that shit. You know, I'm just not that kind of person that likes going out and hanging out with people. Quite frankly, it's like they're assholes. Why wouldn't we go out there? I've just paid my rent. I have foods. I have fluffy blankets. I can be horizontal and unconscious if I want to be, in a good way. I don't like going out, man. I just like chilling. It's less overstimulating to be inside. I mean, most of my time, my house is like a darkened, candlelit at nighttime kind of place, and it's just really nice and warm and fluffy. They're thinking it's a nice nest, and you walk in my house, and my first thing, like, my brother does is turn on all the lights and shit. And I'm going, that's 5 fucking lights on. Why do we need 5 lights? It's like glaring. It's like staring at the sun. But you know, he's ADHD. I'm ASD, so differences of temperament and stuff like that. He has no problem with full glare or anything. But you know, my house is designed to be a sensory, lovely experience most of the time, unless it's a tip, and then it fucks with my brain, which is usually on a Saturday. But that's again part of the identity I had to form. I had no concept of who I wanted to be. I lived essentially, and I know I'm going on a tangent because I do that. I essentially lived for my ex-husband, and I nearly did it for my ex-boyfriend again. The one that came after him, and I'm sitting there thinking, is this who I want to be? Is this what I want to do? Now, when I get in a relationship, I go all in. I'm terrible. I don't protect myself, and I should. I put them on a pedestal, and I'm fucking stupid for doing that, because it means that they just exploit the fuck out of that, which is not healthy at all. But I'm like, I've always been like a fixer and a giver and a maintainer, and that's the problem. And it's people pleasing. It comes from having parents where you have to tread on eggshells, who are violent, who will tell you or show you that you need to do what they want you to do, otherwise the consequence is going to be quite fucking unpleasant. Mixed with a husband who reinforced those values. He wasn't physically violent at all. In fact, he was physically quite nice at times. But, you know, he was more psychologically controlling than anything. Not all the time. He wasn't that bad. When we first met, he started off really quiet, really sweet. He was just, I liked him. He was a nerd. I'm like, no. But then he grew up and he got arrogant and went into like gym bro antics and just became an asshole. You know, and you sit there thinking, gradually it built up that everything became about him. I mean, it was pretty much about him before, but everything became about him. So it's like, how do I look in this pose? All extra shit. Sitting there thinking, the more I look at you, and I didn't notice it at the start, but you're becoming a really shallow fuck. So, hence the reaction to the ultimatum at the end of the marriage. So I'm like, I am not doing that. I cannot believe you assumed I would. But you know, people are quite. That's the danger of being an arrogant fuck, I guess, is that you assume too much, and when you don't get what you want, you know, it just backfires. So. Humility. You gotta be humble. I'm the most humble. Drax. The most humble. I gotta watch that today. Anyway, so. Ooh, 333. Empress number. That's my number. Sorry. Okay, squirrel. So, you know, what did I become? He ghosted me, my ex-husband, when I was 33. For about 2 years I was on my own when I started developing myself. I started figuring out what I liked. One of the things I first did was because he didn't like makeup and he didn't like lipstick, hated lipstick. I wore bright red lipstick for about a month straight. I loved it. I wore it to yoga classes. I remember Grace, my yoga teacher, going, "You're wearing lipstick today." I'm like, yes! I don't know how to put on lipstick. I look like the fucking Joker, but I had to go, you know? And I think that's the whole point. I had to go. My mum was not big on us looking like girls growing up, so me wearing makeup at all was pretty cool. I had to go. I'm not good at it. I can't do those tutorials that the girls do where they're like cake facing it. I don't have the skill set. But, you know, some of the catfishing looks pretty interesting. I've seen them do. How the fuck did you do that? I feel sorry for whoever they end up with who figures out what they look like under that makeup, though. And I can't imagine what their skin would be like under that makeup too. It would be horrendous. Like, so I keep mine pretty light. I will say the best asset I've ever had is sunscreen, because as you can see, I'm pretty fucking pasty. Got those nice Denmark, Nordic, Irish, English jeans, which means I glow in the dark. Do I tan? No, I go a lovely red colour, I peel blister, and then I go back to white as fuck. All these people going away on tropical holidays and stuff, and I'm like smothered in 50 plus minimum. I'm a lovely shade of blue naturally. You know, but it's chill. So I had to develop who I wanted to be. I had to ask myself what I wanted. If you've listened to the other podcasts of the importance of being alone and the importance of I think the importance of silence or something like that. I can't remember what I called them. I'm full of my own shit sometimes. I label these things and I'm like, what do I call that? It gave me a great opportunity for about a year while I was paying off my debt and just working my ass off and renovating my dead granddad's house, funny enough. It was a weird fucking year. Just to figure out what I wanted and how I could go about doing it. I sat there and I floated for about 2 years just trying to figure out what the fuck happened and what was going on. And for the first year I was supposedly depressed. I had the symptoms of depression, but because I got the autism, I'm like, I have trouble recognizing them. I was crying and not sleeping, and they gave me diazepam. I took one. I didn't use them again. I don't like extra tablets. I take enough supplements. It's like I don't like your weird chemical shit. Although I do pretty much live on pre-workout, so that can't be good. But I wasn't looking at the chemical side of things. I wanted to treat my issues with behavioral things, because that is what I'm qualified in. I've got a psych degree, so I'm like, I don't like the chemical imbalances. There's already chemical imbalances. In fact, in autism, there's structural imbalances. So I wanted to look at how I could treat that. Well, not that. You can't really treat that, but the chemical side of things with behavior instead. So that's when I started really kicking into the gym and trying to find ways to develop a sense of identity, things I was interested in. I got back into yoga, which I'd given up when I got married. Pilates I took up as well. That's fucking amazing. Grace, you're amazing. I miss you. I moved and I don't get to do those classes anymore, but I'd kill to go back to do yoga, man. Fucking love that shit. And it was fun. I think Happy Baby pose is probably the most fucking hilarious pose I've ever done. I call it the blue flame. You can imagine why. If you've ever seen Happy Baby pose, it's like, that's not a yoga pose. That's a bunch of frat boys with a light on. It's like, come on. I pissed myself the first time I did it. I couldn't believe this was a thing. So it's great fun, and you relax and you're trying to find yourself. And I made some friends in my old yoga class. I've still got my friend Ellie on Facebook and stuff like that. And all these, you just make really good friends, and you try and get out and figure out who the fuck you are and what you want. And a lot of it was just shit I had dropped when I got with my now ex-husband, and I picked up again when I got my own time. I near enough did the same thing with my ex-boyfriend as well, because I was taking on a lot of his traits just to fit in with what he wanted to do. Terrible for that. I need to find someone who's got like a lot of good traits. That's the problem. I got mixed in with someone who has a lot of bad traits, like drinking and... Actually, that's about it. Yeah. He does drugs and stuff like that, but I'm like, I don't do drugs. I do pre-workout and a shitload of supplements. Do you know how expensive those things are? Why would I do drugs? But, you know, so expensive. What a waste if you're doing drugs and smoking and drinking on top of that. What a waste. My gains. Fuck yeah. Anyway, so, no, but I had to reassess what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be, and I went back to pretty easily not drinking and not doing all that bar shit. And also, I would still go out maybe to a pub. I don't like pubs that much. I would maybe go out to a pub to watch a UFC fight if McGregor was fighting again. Maybe get a pint and some chips. Chips, yes. Pint, maybe. I'm not really keen on it, but you know. But it's not part of a lifestyle I would actually want. And right now I'm just working my ass off, working on my businesses and things like that, because I'm working towards this major project. Once that's finished, and it's going to be finished sooner than I hope, or sooner than I anticipated, seemingly. I was a little bit caught off guard with that, actually. My autism doesn't like change. It doesn't. It's like, we didn't plan for this. This is not scheduled till October. And it turns out you can have it early. It's like, no. No. It needs to be October. It's like, what are you talking about? Have it now. But that's in the works. I won't say what it is because I don't like to put anything on the table until I know I can do it. So I don't want to look like a fucking mug. But that was part of another thing I wanted to establish. It was something that was important to me, and it's always been important to me to have stability and a stable home life, because I just didn't have it growing up, and I didn't really have it when I was married, because it just went out the fucking window apparently after 16 years. So at this point I'm just finding my feet in what I want, and the problem with that is the people who you surround yourself with will actually taint who you are. You ever heard the phrase spoiled by association? When I was in my last social group, I was picking up traits that I didn't recognize, and you know, I'm pretty self-aware at this point, given all the fucking therapy and the introversions and the internal understanding myself crap that we all have to do once we hit our midlife or quarter-life crisis. And I'm sitting there going, these people aren't reflective of what I want to do, what I want to be. I'm just going to exit out of this. I mean, I was basically turning up to that social group out of politeness from my ex-boyfriend. I couldn't really resonate. There was maybe like 2 people I could relate to, and not really, because I didn't really know them. So, which is a shame, because I would like to have some discussions. But generally, it was just not. It was not my kind of people. It's not my soul tribe, shall we say. Being that my soul tribe probably wouldn't be binge drinkers that whore around. It's like, yeah, this doesn't exactly fit in with my values. I don't want to do this. I just want to save quiet home. I don't want to sleep with as many people as possible for popularity. So, and whilst I am kind of a social butterfly, it's not that kind of stuff. I'd rather go to the movies or something. So you want to go out somewhere? It's like, yeah. Where is it? A pub? Oh, for fuck's sake, another one? Another one? I mean, at one point I was pretty convinced my ex-boyfriend was a fucking alcoholic. I'm like, we're going to another pub. We went one yesterday. Why are we going again? It's midweek. What the fuck are we doing? I've got work tomorrow. What is going on? So you take on the traits of people around you. I hated that, by the way. I fucking hated turning up to work with a hangover because we did what he wanted to do. I hate it. And I work with kids, and I felt so bad. Not just physically, but also like ethically. I'm like, these are my babies, man. I'm fucking hungover around them. This is shit. I hate this. So I had no problem going back to being a teetotaler after that. To be honest, for the most part, I even cut out sugar. It was like I went so back into good habits. I was like, fuck this. The perks of doing that, though, is like you drop a shit ton of weight. My bloat went down, my waist went. I've got a certain leanness back on my legs and shit. And I'm going, my gains. My gains are back, bitch. And I was pretty stoked. So you can tell when you're having a good time, right? Or you're making the right decisions, because your health improves, your life improves. You feel safer in yourself. You don't have to contend with anyone. You're not sitting there in a social shit fight trying to compete with other people just to keep your boyfriend and stuff like that. And that was some shallow shit going on in that group. And I'm just like, I do not relate to you people. I don't identify with you people. I want nothing to do with this shit, this lifestyle. I don't want it. It goes nowhere. Fuck it. So when we broke up, we actually got evicted, actually. We got evicted on my birthday. And he had actually found somewhere to go before he even mentioned that we were getting fucking evicted. And I'm like, you are an asshole. But he was set, of course. It's just him all around. It's like, I'm doing me, fuck everyone else. Hasn't changed in 20 years, funny enough. I knew him when I was in my early 20s. No, I'm nearly 40. Yeah, he hasn't changed. Still an asshole. But, you know, I looked at this and I said, I never want to get evicted again. I never want to, you know, I don't want to have to be subject to this type of group. I don't want a boyfriend like that. I don't like drinking. I don't question your sense of identity, a whole questioning of everything. It's like, what do I actually value? What is aligned to what I want? What is actually fucking good for me? Because this is bullshit. I was so angry when I left. But as I did, I did my usual, like internalized it, and I smiled, and I'm like, and I had a deadline date, and I'm sitting there going, right, I'm leaving by this day. I'm doing this. I know my plan. I've got my exit plan. When I get the fuck out of here, I'm going to be, first of all, safe, because I didn't feel safe around him. Not at all. Not his. He had a particular way of doing things. First of all, not truthful. Secondly, sexually violent. Just couldn't trust him. Pretty convinced he was cheating. All these kinds of fucking things that you sit there and think, I settled for this. I'm like, do I want to settle for this shit again? No, I don't deserve that. I know what kind of a person I am. I might be a bit strong-willed. I'm nearly fucking 40 and I'm tired of settling for shit and being the nice girl that goes along with everything because you don't want to rock the boat. I'm like, fuck that. I did that all the way through my 20s and up into my 30s, man. I'm nearly 40. Fuck you. We're doing what I want to do. It's like, you know, fuck you. Tired of being nice. But that was pretty much it. I've arrived at my destination by now. And I decided, what do I want to actually be? I don't want to... I could see myself getting sick and fat, eating takeaway and drink. They're going, look, dude, I've already survived anorexia. I already had to steal food to survive before that when I was a kid, and that made me fat. My body has gone in and out all kinds of shit. My health is decreasing just by hanging around you fuckers. So I'm getting stressed. I was getting eczema. My sleep patterns were getting fucked up. I was turning up to work with hangovers. It's like, all to say that I could belong to this group and this was my then boyfriend. And he didn't even put a fucking label on it. It's like, I don't believe in labels. We'll just see where this goes. I'm going, yeah, fuck boy. And he was a fuck boy. I don't make plans. It's like, I fucking make plans all the fucking time. I got all this. I make plans. I make good plans. I make really fucking good plans. But I saw my self-worth decreasing as well. I'm sitting there going, I've been through so much to settle for a shithead like this. No. So I got the fuck out of there. And I started reassessing what was I actually doing beforehand. What was before all this shit went down, because I was with him on and off. We broke up 6 times. 6 times. Why did I take him out? I don't know. Alcohol. We're just gonna meet over a coffee. That was his trick. We're gonna meet over a coffee. Because I go and check on him. I'm like, I just want to check you're okay. Just wanted a coffee. Just want to check you're okay. Because I'm an idiot. Oh, let's go get lunch. Oh no, let's go get a pint. Oh no, let's go to the pub. Oh, you got to come to my house because you drunk too much. He goes there. Oh, we're back together. Are we back together? I don't know. full of shit, conniving, just conniving. So we broke up and got together again 6 times, and it was always, oh, my feelings, oh, how am I dealing with my feelings? It's like, it's not about you, never mind your fucking violent and shit, you asshole. Anyway, fuck boys, avoid them at all cost. But that was the thing, it's like I didn't actually question what I wanted, and was this person actually worth my fucking time? Do I want to live like this for the next 40 years? And by the end of it, I'm sitting there going, that's a fuck no. So I stopped drinking, got back to the gym, got back to my supplements, started saving pretty well. And considering how much I was spending on booze and takeaways and food shopping for him, and you know, I mean, we were splitting rent and bills, but at the same time, it's like he was not looking after himself, so I was like compelled to look after him. That comes from my mum. She's like, because she's got a Peter Pan syndrome husband, who is my dad. He weaponizes incompetence, so he'll do things wrong. So she'll go around and like pick up after him. He acts like a fucking toddler. At this moment, he's like a cross between a toddler and a teenager. Because looking at his bedroom, it's a fucking dump, and she just refuses to clean it. They sleep in separate beds. I don't blame him. I don't blame her, because it's pretty fucking gross at this point. Heavy smoker. There's a lot of my ex-boyfriend and my dad. I'm like, I don't like that. I'm not doing that again. I don't want a smoker. The smells. But at the same time, it's like, am I reliving my mum's traumas, or do I want to break the cycle and become something else? So right now, I'm kind of winging it. I've got a lot of my aunt, not Pat eloped. My aunt Chris, she was a tomboy. Janet, my aunt Janet. She's a bit of an airy-fairy, kind of Phoebe Buffet of a friends kind of person, and she's lovely, and she's in her 70s now. So I'm just going like that. It's like, and I didn't have any good role models growing up, so I had to make it up as I went along. So I do come across as a bit weird. But then if everyone's a bit weird, they just hide it better than others. It's important to develop a sense of identity, because if you're so dependent on other people and what they think of you, and your value is based on that, when they do leave, and most of the time they will leave, because not in a negative way, they might just develop a life outside of hanging around with you. They might have a family, might get married, they might do all these kinds of things, might get a job somewhere else, they might just move state, country. People are going to leave eventually in one way or another. You're going to have to be, pretty stable in your sense of self and self-worth. Don't be relying on other people. It's ridiculous. Because when my ex-husband left, I completely dropped out the arse. I had no fucking idea who I was, what I was doing, where I was going, what I wanted, what my values were. I knew for sure damn fact that I don't do open relationships. Like, that's cheating. It's like, no, because he was trying to convince me for like a month before I actually left. He's like, it'll be fine, you get to have sex with other people, and you can go and explore yourself. And it's like, I don't want to explore that side of myself that way. I'm pretty happy with my sexuality, actually. I don't need other people to validate that I have, the fun bits and pieces. It's just, my self-worth is not based on how many people I can fuck. My self-worth is mainly on what I'm capable of doing physically in terms of, earning potential and stuff like that. But I'm just designed that way. Functionality and capability is what I value. I don't value, a readily available vagina to anyone. So it's like, I don't know what the fuck your deal was. But, it's different people, different things, I guess. But I didn't understand what I wanted to do, so I had to make it up as I went along. And half the fun, even though you're completely depressed and everything's falling out the arse, half the fun is trying to make yourself up to be what you might want to be. And when you start visualizing, what could I be? You start looking around for like maybe some role models and things that have some ideas. You don't go full on copying someone, because that's ridiculous. I've had people fucking copying me. I'm sitting there going, bitch, I don't know who I am half the time. Why are you copying me? It's like, oh man, the weirdest fucking thing. I had this girl taking pictures of me through the gym window. I had one of the guys on the treadmill come and talk to me about it. He's like, there's a girl taking pictures. I'm going, fuck? It's like, who the fuck's that? It's like some chick with a fucking phone. I'm going, do I know you? It's like, weird experiences and going, I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm not a celebrity or famous, and I don't have any money in that way, so what? Stop. What is this shit? I don't know. People are weird. I mean, I have trouble with social cues most of the fucking time. When someone throws an anomaly like that at me, I'm like, very self-contained in my responses. I'm like, oh, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. The fuck? You're gonna steal my kidneys? Leave me alone. But no, you gotta develop your own sense of self-worth, and everybody's different. I mean, we all come from our own interpretivist, social-constructivist viewpoint, so you've got to have your own life to live, and you'll make your own sense of reality from what experiences and, you know, social norms and events and contexts that you're around. There's no point trying to be someone else. There's no point trying to clone yourself as the Kardashian, for fuck's sake. I don't like the way they look. If you look at, like, Kanye's now girlfriend, I don't know what her name is, but she's a fucking clone of Kim, but one that he's customized, I've noticed. Like, I get a strong feeling he'll say, you need to cut your hair like this, you need to wear all this sort of shit, and he'll do it, whereas Kim would, like, put up a fight, I think, because she's got her own fucking ego. But the girl he's with now is, like, copied him, her. And I'm sitting there going, well, that's going to backfire as well, because it leaves you at the mercy of whatever he wants you to be. And it was similar to the case when I was married. This guy just customized me. And even then he left me. So it's like, why did you bother? Which is weird. Don't ever leave yourself open to that, or at the mercy of someone else's opinions, because they don't last. I mean, bearing in mind, if you've got a partner or your friends, they might suggest, oh, your hair would look nice this way, or you know, have you tried this dress, or something like that. But that's beholden to you. You don't have to do what they want you to do. I mean, if you say no, they should still be cool with you, like hanging out and not being a problem. Yeah, I keep thinking of Mean Girls. That's what that last social group reminded me of. You ever watch that movie Mean Girls? They've made a series now. I'm like, but you know, that gave me a lot of insight into it. Honestly, I think I don't want to belong to this group. I don't like what they do. I don't like how they manipulate people. I don't like that they put this fake facade up, this forced politeness, and you could feel it's forced, because I've seen it in the workplace as well, and they censor it professionalism. I'm like, you're fake as shit. I don't like it. But you can tell people are being fake, and it's horrible. Fake to your face, and then stabbing you in the back, and you're like, why though? If you don't like me, why don't you just say? Or if I'm doing something that annoys you, just say. I'll stop doing it. I don't give a fuck. To be honest, I wasn't there for them anyway. I was there for my ex-boyfriend. I'm sorry. I'm not compliant to your ego. You know I got like 20 years on you, right? What are you, like 12? Seriously, these are like 20-year-old girls. They're bitchy at me. I'm going, dude, I'm old enough to be your mom. What are you competing with? What is this? It's the weirdest fucking thing. At the same time, it's like, whatever, man. And that's the good thing, is like, because it just sort of rolled off. I mean, it was bullying essentially, because it was like high school bullying, and I'm sitting there looking at their age, and I'm going, yeah, you're still not out of high school yet, are you? Mentally, you're still in there. I'm going, because you're still doing the same high school popular girl shit in the workplace. It's just, at this point, fucking embarrassing. Because it goes nowhere. It's not worth anything. It won't get you a job. In fact, it'll probably get you fired. But they're still pulling that shit at like early to mid-20s. I'm like, bitch, I was married at 27. Grow up. It's weird. 18-year-old, 16-year-old, 18-year-old girl mentality. You're a mid-20-year-old. You're like, what's wrong with that one? It's like, anyway, that's my psychological opinion. But I wasn't like popular in high school, so maybe I'm just missing something there. I hung out with weird kids. I fucking love weird kids. You can learn so much from the weird kids. I even hung out with the stoners, even though I didn't do drugs. We had the two Corys. One was a tall one, looked like Liam Neeson. The other one was a short one. Short and blonde surfy dude. Two Corys. Just smoke weed in the bushes on the airport. Wagon. Oh, you guys are awesome. Illegally doing stuff, but awesome. But they were pretty chill, and they were always accepting, and you always got to hang out with them, and we just, you know, used to weird shit like set fire to balls of sticky tape and signs and fling them around. It was awesome. Never got into, well, I don't think they ever got in trouble, but they were awesome. Anyway, big memories. We're gonna have to go into that. But you know, if you're going to develop a sense of self, look at what your values are. Look for your internal alignment. Don't rely on other people to tell you who the fuck you are. It always backfires. It never actually aligns internally with what you actually want. It's from experience. Like for example, my parents are adamant that divorce is a no-go. You don't get divorced. I'm sitting there going, you two fuckers should have been divorced at the start, for a start. Maybe saved us all the hassle of the fucking trauma and shit of growing up being parented by you. So when it came to my turn to divorce, I was like, I don't believe in divorce. To the extent I don't believe now, but if it's become such a point where you're put in a corner where you can't defend yourself, you can't see yourself existing in that kind of a lifestyle, and it's actually going to be, you know, detrimental to your health, and it was detrimental to my mental health because I ended up going to a psych because of that arsehole. Had a complete fucking just trying to understand what was going on. It was a mind fuck. It really was. And that was like, I was with him half my life at that point. So it was like, anyway, I'd gone from my parents to him, so it was like 33 years of mind fuck. But you know, you gotta know for yourself who you are and what you like and what you're about, and don't let people tell you that you're wrong. I mean, bear in mind that as long as it's not hurting anyone, you can generally get away with a lot of shit. Differences of opinions. Some people might look at you like you're a bit weird. Like when I rock up to fucking, like I live in a place that's pretty alternative at this point. I'll be moving maybe sooner or later. But for the most part, I rock up looking like I fucking belong there. So I'm like covered in crystals and shit, and if I could, I wear fairies and shit. And so I'm having a good time because I had a pretty repressed first half of my life. So the freedom to actually express yourself in that way, in a pretty open and, you know, accepting environment, is pretty nice. But if I took that kind of persona or appearance or anything like that into my workplace, because I'm a teacher, you can't really turn up looking like that. They'll think you're on drugs. I've never done drugs. I just love the stuff. Never done drugs, weirdly enough. Given the certain life circumstances, you think it would lend itself to it. But anyway, but you know, it's just, you gotta have fun with it. You gotta decide who you are and what you want to do and what you want to be, and don't let other people tell you that you can't do that. I mean, don't even put yourself at risk of staying with someone who's going to shit on you that much that you have to change and customize yourself to their tastes. I did that. I was married to one. I lost complete loss of self. I separated myself from my friends and my family. Everything I did was about him. I wanted to be with him. I wanted him to be happy. It didn't matter what my life sacrifices were. It didn't matter what I wore, who I was, what I spoke. It didn't matter. As long as he was happy, everything was about him. That's a stupid way to do it. Don't do that. You've got to have your own sense of self that is equal to the value you see in that other person. So if they're asking you to always go their way and not compromising on anything, that's just being controlling and manipulative. So tell me, fuck off. So, in a not so subtle way, it's not your job to completely demolish who you are to make them happy. What's that saying they say about don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm? And there's usually like a picture of a match or something like that. Yeah, you shouldn't have to destroy yourself just to make someone else happy because they've got insecurities. It's just ridiculous. I think I'm gonna have to leave it there, I think, because I've got to go for a wander into the shops and probably run some errands. So I'm hoping you guys have a fantastic Tuesday. I'm still on school holidays till tomorrow, technically. Have a fantastic day. I hope you guys have something nice. Find some nice foods to lunch or something. And I'll see you later.